morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a few moments to become present. Find a nice, comfortable seated position where you can have your spine and the back of your neck nice and straight and tall, opening up your chest, opening up your diaphragm, and opening up your heart. Gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. And soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, bringing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on the mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention, we're going to go back to the 8 limbs of yoga. So the first 2 limbs of yoga are guidelines on how to interact with the world. Those would be the yamas. And then also the second limb is how to interact with ourselves. And those are the niyamas. There are 5 niyamas. The first one being Saucha, which is Sanskrit for purity. In Deborah Adele's book, Yamas and Niyamas, she says that Saucha invites us to purify our bodies, our thoughts, and our words. As we purify ourselves physically and mentally, we become less cluttered and heavy. Purification brings about a brightness and clarity to our essence. Taking steps to cleanse and purify ourselves will look different to each of us. It might take the form of increased physical exercise, or increased water intake, or a day of dietary cleansing, or perhaps a day of clearing out the closets, or a day of speaking nothing of harm or untruths. Whatever form purity takes, it always begins with an intention to lighten the load we are carrying. This is not to be confused with cleanliness. Cleanliness is a process of scrubbing the outside of us. Purification works on our insides and changes our very essence. So for this morning's pranayama, I'd like to do the Kumbhaka, which is a breath retention exercise. And it focuses on the natural pauses between inhales and exhales. The mind and the body become more still and clear, focusing on the purity of that moment. So the Kumbhaka that we're going to do, it's called Antara Kumbhaka, and that will have us pause at the top. And when I say pause, I mean pause. I don't mean to hold your breath. It's a type of holding, but if you hold, it's more active and you might have more of an anxious feeling. But if you just kind of let your breath naturally pause and then exhale, it'll be a more gentle effect. So let's inhale to the count of 4. We'll pause to the count of 4, and then we'll exhale to the count of 4. I'm gonna make a triangle. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to let you continue for a few moments. And if the pause of 4 is too long for you, you can adjust that to whatever is comfortable for you. I just don't want you to get that kind of panicky, anxious feeling in the top of your chest. So let's just go on a little bit longer with that breath. You can return to your natural breath. And for this morning's meditation, we could continue to do that, or you could just meditate in your own comfortable way. In meditation, we open the windows of the mind to clear consciousness. So again, it's all about clarity, purity, and a mudra for clarity is the Buddhi Mudra, and it's taking the pinky and the thumb together and extending the middle 3 fingers. So this is a mudra for clarity. So you can continue, or you can continue on to do your breathing of the Kumbhaka, and I'll go to the mat. You could use the mudra, or you can meditate in your own way. And then we'll start our asana practice. can begin our asana practice. Just want to say today we're going to do quite a few gentle twists. And in the words of BKS Iyengar, who's one of the founding founders of Western yoga, he has a specific style of yoga that is named after him. He had this theory about squeeze and soak, and it involves twisting. So if you can envision a sponge, when you squeeze it, it wrings out the water, or say the bad things that are in there. And then when you release it, it soaks in the good. So that's his theory: squeeze out the bad, and then when you release, it soaks in the good. So when we're doing our twists, we're purifying our bodies in a way, our internal bodies, by wringing out impurities. And then when we come back to the neutral or natural position, it soaks in or pulls in that circulation. It increases that circulation to improve the good stuff coming back in. That's the theory. So we're purifying the insides with our twists. So let's start with just some head nods and turns, and twists, and we'll gently warm up. So again, find yourself a nice, comfortable seated position. We're going to send our gaze down to the mat, and then send our gaze up to the sky. Send our gaze down to the mat, and then up to the sky, and then down to the mat, and up to the sky. We turn our head to a neutral position. Have your spine and the back of your neck nice and tall and long. I'm going to gently turn our head to the left, twisting to the left. Come back, and then twist to the right. Come back. Inhale, twist to the left. Exhale, come back. Inhale, twist to the right. Come back. Inhale, twist to the left. Come back. Inhale, twist to the right. And exhale, come back. Then we'll create little circles with our nose. So taking the tip of your nose, draw a circle in front of you. And if you want to use your hand as a frame so that you can circle your nose around your hand, you could do that. So just make gentle circles with your nose, just loosening up our neck in a gentle way. And then reverse the direction. And then come back to a neutral position. We'll start our sun breaths by placing our fingertips on the mat. And with a deep inhale, bring our hands up over our heads, bringing our palms together. If that's too tight for you, you can always have your arms at a V shape at the top, whichever is comfortable for you. Then exhale, bring your hands back down to the mat. Inhale, bring your hands up. Exhale, bring them back down. Inhale, back up. Exhale, back down. Inhale, back up. Exhale, back down. Inhale, back up. Exhale, back down. And then we're going to do some seated twists. So we're going to bring our hands up overhead, twist to the left, and bring our hands down to the left side. Right hand lands on our left knee. Left hand lands behind our hips. And then inhale, sweep our hands up, sending them over to the right side, bringing them down. And then just continue these sweeps, linking them to your breath, inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down, inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, and exhale down. And return to center. And place one foot in front of the other. If you're sitting cross-legged, you can try to bring your feet down or to the mat, so your legs are a little bit down to the mat. And we'll do a seated forward fold. So we're going to gently walk our fingertips out in front of us. And just come to that sweet spot, that spot between effort and relaxation. And focus on your breath. And the truth of your breath will show you how far out you should go. So if you're feeling your breath is a little shallow or constrained, you can back your hands up until you get that nice even flow of breath back. Then walk your hands over to the right side. Nice gentle twist and stretch of the left side. Did I say right? Yeah. Walk your hands over to the right side. And then walk your hands back toward your right knee. And then bring our right knee up so that it's reaching toward the sky. Foot is planted on the mat. And we'll take our left arm and wrap it around our right knee and send our right hand behind our hips for a twist, sending our gaze over to the right side of the mat. And deep breaths. And then come back. It's that squeeze and soak happening. And then we'll switch feet. So bring your left foot in front of your right foot. And walk out your hands. Again, paying attention to your breath. Come to that sweet spot of effort and relaxation. And then walk your hands over to the left side, stretching out the right side of your body. And then walk your hands back toward your left knee. And when you're upright, bring your left knee up so that it's reaching toward the sky and your foot's planted on the mat. Wrap your right arm around your left knee and have your left fingertips behind your hips, twisting your torso to the left side of the mat. Take some deep breaths. And then turn back so that you have that squeeze and soak going on. And then we're going to roll down on our back. So you can roll down one vertebrae at a time or express method, whichever works for you. And bring your knees to your chest and give them a nice gentle squeeze. And rock back and forth. Massage your lower back. We place our left foot on the mat, keeping our right leg up, and then bring your right ankle to your left knee, just below the knee, coming into reclined pigeon pose. And you're going to guide your right kneecap toward the right side of the mat. Your right foot is flexed on your knee, so your toes are pointing up to the sky. And you can stay here, or if you want a little bit more of a stretch, you can interlace your fingers behind your left thigh, guiding your left leg toward your chest. Or you can interlace them above the, below the knee, but on the shin, and guide that left leg toward your chest. Keeping the feet flexed, toes pointing up. And then release the left leg back down to the mat. We'll reverse, so you bring your knees to your chest and then send your right leg down to the mat. And bring your left ankle right below your right kneecap, resting on the top of your thigh. And recline pigeon pose. Your left knee is now pointing to the left side of the mat. You can just guide it there with your hand. And this might be fine for reclined pigeon. Or if you want a little bit more stretch, again, you can interlace your fingers behind your thigh, guiding your right leg toward your chest. Or interlace your fingers on your right shin and guide your right leg toward your chest. And place your right foot back down on the mat. Bring both knees back to your chest and give them a nice gentle hug. And then we're going to send our knees up so that they're pointing to the sky and our legs are parallel with the mat. So it's as if we're sitting in a chair. And we're going to drop our knees to the right side of the mat. And we're going to turn over to the right side. So it's just like at the end of our classes when we roll over to our favorite side. We're going to extend both hands out at shoulder height, bringing our palms together. And then we're going to open or sweep our left hand up toward the sky and over to the left side of the mat. So creating a nice gentle twist in our waistline there. And then bring that hand, sweep that hand back and bring it back to the palm. Inhale, sweep that hand again up to the sky and over, have it land comfortable on the left side. And bring that hand back over, nice big rainbow. And one last time, lift the hand up toward the sky, sweep it over to the left side of the mat. And then sweep it back, bringing it back to the palm. And we'll come back to our backs, give our knees a nice hug. And send our knees up toward the sky again, and our legs, the bottom of our legs parallel to the mat as if we're sitting in a chair again, 90-degree angle. Bringing our arms out to the side at shoulder height. We're going to drop our knees to the left side and roll over, bringing our right palm to our left palm. And then we'll make rainbows on this side too. So sweeping our hand up toward the sky, bringing it over. And if it's comfortable, setting it down on the right side of the mat. Inhale, bringing it back all the way up, creating that nice big arch with your hand. Bring the palms together. Inhale, sweeping your hand up. And exhaling it, bringing it down. Inhale, sweep it up. And exhale, bringing it back down to the palm. And one last time, sweeping your hand all the way up to the sky. And then all the way over to the right, bringing it to the floor. Then inhale, sweep it up. And exhale, bring it back down to the palm. So we can now from here, come up, so roll up to a seated position, and then roll up into tabletop. So you get to your tabletop position any way that's comfortable for you. And with our tabletop position, our shoulders are right above our wrists, hips are right above our knees, navel's tucked to the spine. Fingers are spread wide apart. And with our fingers, one thing I was reminded of this week was that it's good to have your index finger pointing to the top of the mat. So it'll pivot your hand a little bit so that your pinkies are pointing toward the outer edges of the mat. Your interior arm is reaching toward the front of the mat. And your weight, again, as usual, is on your fingertips, not on your wrists. And you're going to push down gently, determining, the equal distribution of weight, how that feels, and pushing down so that you create that space between your shoulders and your ears. So we're going to do a few cat-cows here. So we're going to exhale, round our back, dropping our head and our tailbone down. Inhale, lifting our head and tailbone up for cow. Charlotte's cow. You can envision that picture of Charlotte milking the cow there. Round our back for cat. Inhale, raise our head and tail for cow. Round our back for cat. Inhale, send our head up, tailbone up for cow, and continue on at your own pace, really synchronizing your breath to your movements. And then come back to a neutral spine. And we're going to send our hips down to our ankles, stretching out our arms in front of us for child's pose. And then inhale, come back up to tabletop. We're going to do some hip circles. So we're going to round our hip, coming up and not extending our head too far from what a tabletop position would be. Just gently You can come down when you're swinging over to the right side. You can come all the way down to child's pose, bringing your hips to your ankles, and then bringing your hips over to the left. But when you reach the top, just go a little bit above from where you are when you're in tabletop. So let's do a few circles here. And you can come down as low as you want into child's pose position. And adjust your knees, play with your knees, bring them right snug together or maybe further apart. See which works and feels better for you when you're doing these circles. Then come back to tabletop and we'll go the other direction. And again, adjust your knees either closer or further apart. This direction might feel different. And then we'll come back to tabletop. We're going to tuck our toes under, walk our hands back, coming into a squat. And the squat, we're going to actually hold here for a few minutes. And if you're able to bring your hands together in front of your heart center with Anjali Mudra, palms coming together, and just try to balance on your toes for a few minutes. Back, spine is nice and long, sending your hips down toward the mat. Just hold here. Continue to breathe. And then bring your hands back down to the mat. Get yourself centered so you can push down into your feet and come up to mountain pose. So mountain pose, we'll go through our mountain essentials of good posture. So our toes are facing the straight edge of the mat. Big toes are. And lift those big toes and all the other toes up off the mat. And then bringing them down, lifting our heels off the mat, lifting ourselves up. And then bring everything down. Feel connected to the mat, connected to the earth. Our legs are nice and straight and strong with a gentle bend in our knees. Navel's tucked to the spine. Back is nice and long, straight. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is just gently tucked to create that nice long line between your back of your neck and your spine. Top of your head is reaching to the sky. Then we're going to sweep our hands up overhead. Big inhale, exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat, bending our knees generously to support our lower back. And just check in. How's your body feeling? Yoga's about, we're talking about the purification of our inner body. And that's when we check in, let's check in with our inner body. See how everything's feeling. There's tension, send some nourishing breaths to that tension. See if you can breathe it so that the tension's a little less. And if not, then adjust your position so you don't feel that pain. Definitely do not want to feel pain. So inhale, bringing your hands to your shins, flat back, gaze is down for half forward fold. Exhale, crown of the head comes down toward the floor, forward fold. Knees are gently bent. Then sweep your hands from the floor all the way up overhead. bringing your palms together. And then coming up on your toes for palm tree. And we'll just sway here for a moment. Check in how our balance is doing today. And then lower your heels and lower your hands back down to the floor, forward fold, bending your knees generously. Hands come to the floor. And then they come up to the shins, flattening out your back, sending your gaze down. Then send your top of your head, the crown of your head down toward the floor for forward fold. Knees are gently bent. Then sweep your hands from the floor all the way up overhead, bringing the palms together. We're going to take our right hand and wrap it around our left wrist. And then gently bring that left wrist over to the right. We're going to pop out our left hip a little bit. Create a side stretch. The traditional side stretch. One we usually do is supported side stretch. And you can do that if that works better for you. Bring your arms back up, and then we'll switch hands. So we're going to gently guide the right hand over to the left side, creating a side stretch to the left. Inhale, come back up. We'll do that again on both sides. So right hand around the left wrist, and we'll guide that left hand over to the right side. And then inhale, come back up. Switch hands, bringing the right hand over to the left side of the mat. Popping out your right hip a little bit. And then back up. And sweep our hands back down toward the mat, bending our knees. Inhale, come back up with our hands to our shins, flat back, half forward fold. Crown of your head reaches down toward the floor. Forward fold. Inhale, sweep our hands from the floor all the way up overhead. And then we're going to come right back down, forward fold. So bring them right back down to the floor. We're going to set our left hand in front of our left foot, bending our left knee, keeping our right knee somewhat straight. Doesn't have to be, always have a gentle bend in your knee, but your left knee will have a deep bend. Your right knee will have just a slight bend. We'll take our right hand, sweeping it from the floor all the way up to the ceiling for a forward fold with a twist. You can send your gaze up to your hand if that's comfortable. And then bring that right hand back down. We'll switch spots. So our right hand will go in front of our right foot. The right knee will be deeply bent. Left knee slightly bent. Sweep our left hand from the floor all the way up to the ceiling, sending our gaze up. Forward fold with a twist. And then bring the left hand back down. Sweep both hands from the floor all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And then palms come to the back of our hips. Fingertips are pointing down. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Feet are hip width apart. And tuck your chin toward your chest and gently roll your shoulders back for supported back bend. Pay attention to your breath. See if it's strained. If it's a little shallow and strained, then maybe not bend it as far back. And then come back up to mountain pose. How's everyone doing? And we'll start in mountain pose. Sweep our hands up overhead. We'll do a few vinyasas. So come back down, forward fold, bending our knees. Inhale, half forward fold, bringing our hands to our shins, flattening out our back. And then forward fold, bringing our hands to the mat and extending both feet back for plank. Heels are pushing to the back of the mat. Navel's tucked to the spine, lifting our hips slightly. Wrists are right below our shoulders. And then gently lower to the mat, either chaturanga, keeping your elbows toward your ribs, or knees, chest, chin. Fingertips are right below your shoulders. And gently push up. And see how lightly you can do that. Maybe take your hands away and reach your head up. See how far up your cobra can get without your hands assisting it. And then bring your hands back and gently come up, tucking our toes under. We're going to lift our hips up into downward dog. So make a nice gentle fluid movement from cobra to downward dog. With downward dog, again, our fingers, front index finger should be pointing to the top of the mat. And the weight are on your fingers. Arms are straight. Chest is reaching toward your thighs, sending your hips upward. And your heels can be doing this nice walk. But it can be stationary, whatever's comfortable for you. And if they are walking, you can continue that walk and walk your feet up to your hands, coming into forward fold. And then half forward fold, bringing your hands to your shins, flattening out your back. And then forward fold, hands toward the mat. Crown toward the mat, and then sweep your hands from the mat all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. We'll do that one more time. Big inhale, sweep your hands up overhead. Exhale, bring down to the mat, forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold, hands to shins, flattening out our back. Exhale, forward fold, both hands come to the mat, and both feet extend to the back of the mat for plank. Legs are nice and strong. Arms are nice and strong. And slowly, with intention, lower down to the mat. And then gently push up into cobra. And take your toes, turn them under, and come up into downward dog. We'll walk our dog for a few moments. When I walked Oscar this morning, there was all this grass outside in our lawn, with patches of snow, but for the most part it was grass. And an hour and a half later, and it's actually 2 hours later, and it's all covered with snow again. So that's spring in New England. And then walk your feet up to your hands, forward fold. Hands to your shins, flat back, half forward fold. Hands to the mat, crown toward the mat, forward fold. With a gentle bend in your knees, sweep your hands up and overhead. Palms come together and palms come to heart center. And we'll sweep our hands up overhead again. And exhale, forward fold, bringing our hands to the mat. We extend just the right leg all the way back, coming into runner's lunge. So your left knee is bent and it's stacked over your left ankle. Your right leg is really active. Really feel the strength in that leg by activating it, pushing the heel to the back of the mat. We'll bring our right hand to the mat and send our left hand up to the sky for runner's lunge with a twist. Really point up to the sky, really stretch that fingertips up to the sky, creating space. And then bring that left hand back down to the mat. And we're going to come up so that we're resting your hands on our knees, our left knee. And then we're going to send our hands back. So we're kind of doing a flying runner's lunge. Really feel the strength in your legs supporting this pose. And then bring both hands back down to the mat. We bring our right knee down to the mat and the top of our right foot down to the mat. I'm going to do a variation of the half monkey. So instead of riding your thigh down with your ribs, we're going to keep our torso up. And we're going to walk our fingertips back. So that creates a space between our torso and our thigh. And then we're going to flex our toes up to the sky. So you're going to walk your hands as back as but is comfortable and flex your toes up to the sky. And then walk our hands back and be really light on your fingertip walk. Just don't trod through with your hands. See if you can really walk with your fingertips, just lightly dancing along the mat. So we'll come back to the low lunge. And then we'll gently lightly walk our fingertips back again, stretching out our left leg, sending our left toes up toward the sky. And then gently walk our hands back to low lunge. And one last walk. See if you can really lighten it, just using your fingers for support so you don't tip over. Straightening out our left leg, sending the left toes up to the sky. And then walking our hands back. We tuck our back toe, our right toes underneath, coming back up into a runner's lunge. And then we're going to take our hands, walk them over to the right side of the mat, and then walk them along the edge of the mat. Keep walking and keep walking and keep walking until you get to your right foot. And we're going to come down into a squat, one-legged squat. So your hands are on the mat, knee is between your hands. Your left leg is nice and straight with the toes flexing up toward the sky. One-legged squat. And then we'll walk our hands back toward the middle of the mat, sending our toes pointing toward the straight edge of the mat, and maybe just a little bit pigeon-toed. Both hands are on the mat. And then we're going to sweep and send our right hand up to the sky with a twist. And bring that right hand back down. And then sweep the left hand up to the sky with a twist. And bring that hand back down. And then bend your knees deeply. Bring your hands to your hips and straighten out your torso so you're standing up in wide-legged stance. We're going to turn our left toes so they point to the top of the mat, coming into Warrior Two. So get yourself into a nice, comfortable Warrior Two, where your left knee is stacked over your left toe. Your left ankle, so you can see your left toe. Your right leg is nice and strong, and the edge of your foot's snug into the mat. But with this Warrior Two, usually we're like really anchored, and that's the intention of this pose. But today, let's just try to see how light we can make this pose feel. Send your arms up, feel like they're flying. Don't ground your feet so much into the mat. Maybe wiggle your toes, lift your heels off the mat. Just create a little bit of lightness to this pose. And send your gaze to your left fingertips. And then send your left hand up to the sky, straight up, sending your right hand back down to your thigh. And reach with that left hand up to the sky, creating a nice stretch. And then bring your left hand back down, back to Warrior Two. And again, try to feel this lightness to the pose today. And then bring your left arm to your left thigh and sweep your right hand overhead. So you're sending a nice current of energy from your right toe on up to your right fingertips. And then bring your right hand back down to the mat, pivoting your back foot, coming into runner's lunge. And then we're going to just kind of scooch so that we get our right leg up, our right foot off the mat, and then bring it to meet up with the left foot. Now you're in forward fold, and we'll sweep our hands from the mat all the way up overhead. Palms come together, palms come to heart center. And we'll do that on the other side. I'm going to switch positions so that I don't have my back to you. You can stay where you are if that's comfortable. So from mountain pose, we're going to sweep our hands up overhead. Deep inhale, deep exhale, sending our hands back down to the mat. We're going to send our left leg out to the back of the mat, coming into runner's lunge. Our right knee stacked over our right ankle. Back leg is nice and strong, pushing the back left heel to the back of the mat. And plant your left hand down on the mat, sweeping your right hand up to the sky for a twist. And then bring your right hand back down. We'll come into a flying runner's lunge. So make your legs nice and strong. Bring your hands up to your knee. Get stable here. And then send your arms out in an airplane. Really feel the strength of your legs in this pose. And then bring your hands back down to the mat. Bring your left leg, your left knee, and the left top of your foot down to the mat. And we'll do those half monkey variations. So we're going to gently walk our fingertips back and keeping space between our torso and our knee. Walk them back, and then sending our right toes up to the sky. And then gently walk our hands back, so we come back to the low lunge. We'll do this 2 more times. So start your gentle walk back, kind of dance your fingers along the mat, sending your leg straight and toes flexed up to the sky. And dance your fingertips back to low lunge. And one last time, dance them back. Nice to have some music these days. Flexing our toes and walking back to the low lunge. Tuck your left toes under, come up into runner's lunge. And then walk your hands to the left side of the mat. Keep walking them down till you reach your left foot. And then we're going to come into one-legged squat here. So your left knee is bent between your hands. Your hands are on the mat. Your left knee is between your arms. Your right leg's out straight. Right toes are flexed up to the sky. And then we'll walk our hands back down to the mat, to the middle of the mat, pivoting our feet so that our toes are a little bit pigeon-toed. And then we're going to sweep our right hand up to the sky for wide-legged twist. And then bring them back, right hand back down. Send the left hand up to the sky. And bring that back down. Bend our knees deeply. Bring our hands to our hips. We come into an upright position, wide-legged stance. And then we're going to pivot our feet so our toes are turned to the top of the mat and come into warrior 2. Here, so the left or right knees over the right ankle. You see your right toes. And we're again try to make this pose feel light and airy. So just kind of move around, don't sink your feet deeply into the mat. Maybe kind of wiggle around in your heels, wiggle around your arms, kind of float around. Send your gaze to the right. And then gently lift your right hand up to the sky, sending your left hand to the back thigh. And then stretch that right hand up to the sky like you're trying to reach for, in our case today, snowflakes. And then bring that right arm down so the forearm is resting on the right thigh. And sweep the left hand up overhead, sending it to the front of the mat so you create one straight line of energy from your left toes to your left fingertips. And then bring your left hand back down to the mat, pivoting your foot. And then just you may want to bring your left foot a little closer to your right, and then lift off your left foot, or lift your left foot off the mat and bring it over to the right foot. Forward fold, and then sweep your hands from the mat up overhead, big inhale, and then exhale, palms come together, palms come to heart center. We'll bring our toes to the edges of the mat. Heels are turned in, 45-degree angle. Keeping our Anjali Mudra, we'll lower our torso so it comes down toward the mat. And the elbows come between our knees, gently resting on our inner knee. And if you want a little bit more stretch, you can send your palms down toward the mat or wide-legged squat. And then we're going to bring our hands to the mat, bring our knees to the mat, keeping our knees out to the edge of the mat and our toes, big toes coming together. We're going to do a thread the needle, so we're going to sweep our right hand up to shoulder height and then sweep it under our torso, bring our right ear and our right shoulder down to the mat. And then we send our left hand up to the sky, creating a twist. And your hips can be up or down, closer to your ankles, whatever is more comfortable for you. The intent of this pose is the twist today. And then bring your left hand back down to the mat. Gently push into your left hand, come back up. And we'll do that on the other side. So sweep your left hand up to shoulder height and then sweep it underneath you and bring it over to the other side, bringing your left shoulder and your left ear to the mat. And send your right hand up to the sky. And bring your hand back down, placing it on the mat, pushing into the mat, come back up. We're gonna roll down so you can cross your ankles and come into a seated position. And then slowly roll down, or express method. And give your knees, or bring your knees to your chest and give them a nice hug. Maybe make some circles with your toes, nice big circles. Massage your lower back. And then reverse the circles. And then bring your arms out at shoulder height and drop your knees to the right side. And gently turn your gaze over to the left, looking at your left fingertips for a reclined twist. Gently turn your head so that you're gazing up to the sky. And then inhale, bring your knees up to center. And exhale, dropping your knees to the left side. And gently turn your head over to the right to look at your right fingertips. Gently roll your head back up, and inhale, lift your knees back up, and send your feet down to the bottom of the mat and prepare for Shavasana. Bring your heels out to the edges of the mat and let your feet just flop open. Bring your hands to your stomach and to your heart, one to each. And then with your elbows on the mat, just open your hands, palms facing up. And relax, release your muscles and your bones into the mat. Let the mat support you. Let the earth support you. Let the universe support you. Have one last quote from Deborah Adele's book, Yamas and Niyamas. She says, "We are asked to be with life, with others, with things, with the day, with work, with the weather, as they are in the moment, not as we wish they were, or think they should be, or expect them to be." We failed this guideline, and that's the Saucha, in any of our attempts to change, judge, criticize, alter, control, manipulate, pretend, be disappointed, or check out. Purity is not our attempt to make something different than it is. Rather, it is to be pure in our relationship with it, as it is in the moment.